We are now going to look at estimation again, but we're going to switch over and talk about compatible numbers. So these will be notes that you are taking on the teacher side. Compatible numbers are numbers that are close in value to the actual number, but they just make it really easy to divide, multiply, add, or subtract mentally. That means in your head. There are no rules for compatible numbers, so there's really not a wrong way to do it as long as your numbers are close to the value of the original number. All right, we're going to do some examples. And remember, like I said, there are no rules. So when you're thinking, oh, I need to round up or down, you're thinking about rounding estimation. Compatible numbers estimation is just making things where it's easy to work in your head. If we had 22 and 8/10 and we were subtracting 13 and 9/10, in the world of rounding, we could round that to 23 because we could use this place and round up, and then round this to 14, and then we still would have to do some thinking and some solving. Some of us can do this in our head, but most of us can't. With compatible numbers, so this is the rounding way. It's still estimation whether you're doing rounding or compatible, but compatible just makes it easy in your head. In compatible numbers, I would have made that 25 and 15 so that I could have done 10 in my head. So all I did was use two numbers that are easy for me to work with in my head, and I got an answer that was going to be about what this one is, because if you subtract this one's actually 9. So my answers are pretty close either way I do it. So just remember, compatible numbers are just numbers that are close. Compatible means that you're close. Your parents are probably compatible. The friends that you are really good friends with, you're more compatible than maybe someone that you do things with every once in a while, but you don't have all the same interests. So compatibility means closeness. How close are you and how well do you get along? And so with numbers, it's how close you can get the number to its original, where it will still make an answer that isn't way off. All right, so let's look at this one. 837 plus 488. In rounding, I could look at my hundreds place, and this would tell me to round down to 800. And here, I would look at the hundreds place again, and that 8 tells me to round up. So when I add, I have 1,300. That's rounding, okay? I used rules for that. It's easy to remember. Rounding means rules. They both have R's. Now, compatible numbers, I would have said 800 plus 400, 1,200, or 1,200. I just did all that in my head. I really don't even have to write this out when I'm doing compatible numbers. I try to make compatible numbers numbers that I can do inside my head. All right, we're going to let you try one now. I want you to try both techniques. I want you to do the rounding technique, and I want you to do the compatible numbers technique. If I had 184 minus 58, and I want you to round to the nearest tens. So do your rounding, and then I want you just to use some compatible numbers, something that you could do inside your head. Go ahead and pause me and try this. Okay, for rounding, I look at the 4. That tells me to round down, so I'd have 180. Then I look at the 5, and the 8 next door tells me round up, which would make 60. So 180 minus 60 would be, so 180 minus 60 would be 120. So that is rounding. I used rules. Compatible numbers, I could say 200, and then I'll do 100, and I get 100. I didn't even have to really write that out. That was just easy in my head. And I am close to what the rounding estimation would be. Both rounding and compatible numbers are estimation. They are guesses, or close guesses actually, to the actual value without having to do all the work of the actual calculation. But I did use some thinking, and I didn't just make it some outlandish thing. Think about when you have a jar of M&Ms and you can guess how many M&Ms are in the jar. You don't want to make an outlandish guess based on the size of the jar. If it's like an 8-ounce jar, you don't want to say 50 million M&Ms because that's not even a close guess using any thought. You're just picking a really large number, and it would be impossible. So you've got to think about estimation as being a close guess using the knowledge you have about numbers.
That was easy.